Yo, what's up? Sage Evolution. Coming out to the astrological check-in, Headcount and Hades edition. And I'm just gonna be reading some notes I got, and probably just rambling a bit. So yeah. First, I'm gonna read a little poetry that correlates with the transit. Mind mapping, seeing what holds weight in my earth. World crafting, seeing what I need to put to rest, in order for me to embody symmetry to the vision that sets. So this is Moon in Aquarius, Sun in Leo. You seen the certain types of ideals for the means of the framework for the framework of progression, like what would need it to be had in order for you to reach certain ideals of living in community with people and being able to alter your character to fit that thing, like as an internal aspect of yourself, and then breed it as an external aspect of yourself, meaning like people will be able to tell that you have this certain type of trait within you that is able to give ground to people to stand on and build off of as well, because it's sturdy. So this is you realizing what pieces of yourself that you actually want to keep and hone in onto, as we've been just trying different things out during this Leo season, and seeing what is really true to us or not, and what pieces of ourselves we thought was true to us that ultimately was serving like a lack mentality. And this is whenever I think about whenever Tunnel Vision talks about the Princess and the Pea allegory, like whatever sort of deficiency you think you have, being the pea, and then whatever you do throughout all the different arenas of your life is like feeding that pea, or is as a result of that pea causing you a little bit of discomfort. It makes you lean a certain way, so then when you walk, you're leaning that way in all areas of your life because of that one little piece of yourself that thinks that it's not worthy of something, that thinks that it needs to be downplayed, or that it needs to downplay you. You let it downplay you, so now it's got you walking crooked a little bit in every aspect of your life. And whenever I think about stuff like that, because when you let something like that influence you, it's it'll make you question if the thing that you're doing is for you or not, because you have that a sense of feeling that something isn't necessarily working right in you, building in whatever area you want to be building in, which whatever you're doing could be quote unquote right for you, right? But it's just off the fact that a piece of the reasoning you took to get there in order to do that thing had been influenced by that crick in your neck, your crooked walk, that Princess and the Pea, this thing that's giving you discomfort. So it kind of thwarts the energy that you export into whatever arena of life that you're dealing with. And now that's what we've been peeping all through this Leo season, of seeing how the kind of trait that would tell you that you're deficient in something, how that influences you. And also I like to play with the idea that that trait is a not necessarily bad, so to say. It's just been trained and conditioned to do something in your life that probably at one point was a protection mechanism. not to say it was right in that moment either. It's just like what you came up with for a protection mechanism, and like really it's just doing its assigned task. And sometimes I could find even like whatever like false sense of self that would lead to trains of thought that would stifle you. Sometimes it'll be like the same function of that initial thought coupled with a different emotion of not stifledness, that'll produce like a sense of like appreciation or something. Let me just say like what like my mind, like what the example I'm thinking of, because it's pertaining to me, so like I was kind of hesitant in talking about it. But like on some Virgo shit, I'm a Virgo moon, Virgo rising, and I think this is just like the nature of the mind and how it works and shit. When you place a bunch of credence on the external, I mean like you think about it a lot, whenever you're in your own space and coming up with your own thoughts, you'll think of ties that match that thought you had just come up with, or that thought you had just caught in the mental realms and shit. And the type of links you make isn't necessarily a bad or a good thing, right? You only start getting into that type of bad or good thoughts whenever you make a link to something. So let's say looking at these fucking oil pastels or some shit, and it reminds me of a certain artist, right? And their art style or whatever. But like as I'm pondering my own stuff, as I'm doing my own art stuff, right? Then I could think of that person, and I could have a positive, kind of don't want to use that word. I could have an appreciative type of sentiment, appreciative type of feeling. Shouts out to Dolo. He had that post about like your sentiment, your character, and your expression is how you move through all astral realms. Like having good forms of that is what can make you travel through all astral realms. But yeah, shouts out Dolo. Yeah, so like if I'm getting into some art shit, I think about another artist, right? If I have a good sentiment towards that, a prosperous sentiment, and a sentiment of appreciation, then it would be like good fuel, good use of that nomenclature, making linkages energy. However, whenever let's say I thought of that artist, and then whenever I thought about them, I was like, what did I think about them? I'm doing my own shit. I don't need to be thinking about them. That emotion that I tied to it, that weight that I tied to that nomenclature type of linkage mechanism that the mind naturally does, is what would make that mechanism bad in terms of like those thoughts and feelings marrying each other and then dictating the next steps that I take, right? Because having that kind of like competitive, like condescending, vindictive type of mind frame towards that linkage, towards the art linkage, would be like coming from a lack of my own accountability and knowing my artistic abilities and valuing my own artistic abilities, because I think I'm in a competition when I'm by myself working on my art with this other person. But motherfucker, like that's like a non-existent shit that I made up in my head to try and bring myself up into something that really is just some made up shit in my head. Cause like who the fuck said this shit was a competition? Who the fuck said that like I had to be nasty towards a person in order for me to appreciate what I'm doing? Like that's like some like lab grown type of thought. Like it's really like that's like the Cain and Abel spell type of shit. Like since you like not as invested because really that type of emotion attaching to the linkage system excuse me, of like joining things together and just like yeah, that's showing like a lack of time also spent into your own creative abilities to well, this is an example talking about me in my own creative abilities, because I don't want to throw that on you if it's not you, right? But yeah, so a lack of like trust in my shit, so I would have to be into like a negative Mars energy and be like, yeah, fuck that shit, I'm doing me type of shit. But like that's all like fabricated in a head of a person that doesn't value their own shit, doesn't see the sentiment in their own shit, doesn't see the value in their own shit, doesn't have the resources to value themselves based off of negligence towards the self. So then whenever they see somebody else, or can think of somebody else that does have access to that, it's like it's just a hater energy, bro. That's really all it is. Yes, because Leo energy, if it's not acting out of his heart, is naturally gonna be a hater. It's naturally gonna see somebody doing something else that it wants to be doing and be like, they ain't all shit though. If I had that position, bro, I could do that way better. I'll be doing this thing. I'll do it this way, and then everybody be fucking with me, bro. Just wait till I do it. Wait till I do it, type of thing. What I mean, like, to say it's like that's all like bad or whatever. That's like I would say that's not really my place, and it depends on like person to person and like what circumstances they're in. But like I find whenever I'm creating, or like whenever I'm trying to move different ideas and move like different thought forms and shit around, like if I get into like that vindictive type of state, or like really that's like a jealousy type of state, and like envy and shit like that shit just slows down the process, because then it throws you off for however many seconds you go into that dip, and then you get back out of it into your more of fluid trains of thoughts, and less down here and shit, and less in the root. So yeah. Sun opposite moon. We are seeing what we have been living for/from, what we have been choosing to connect to and use as a grounding point on an internal sense is all the more present due to any discrepancies between your perception of your character and how it fits into the arenas of life you choose to be a part of. And whenever I wrote this, it was on the 17th, and at the time I wrote it, Mercury was at the 28th degree of Leo. So in this next portion I'm about to read, I'm speaking towards like the lava energy that Mercury was in, and the dust energy that Pluto was in, both of them being on cusps. Yeah. The stimuli we are tracking on how our character/idea of self is able to adapt to information. The stimuli we are tracking on how our character/idea of self is able to adapt to information presented to it. I don't know if that made sense, bro. The stimuli we are tracking is how our character/idea of self is able to adapt to information presented to it, and move with accordance to said information, whether you see if it's good for you or bad for you. Oh, what the fuck? Bro, this is like the longest run-on sentence, bro. I don't know when to take my pauses and shit. The stimuli we are tracking on how our character/idea of self is able to adapt to information presented to it and move with accordance to said information, whether you see if it's good for you or bad for you, depends on how you see your current situation, or be able to discern whether or not a form of information is even substantial enough to create a light around. And you know, whenever we say light, that's dealing with just like a thought and awareness. You know, what kind of thing presented to you in the 3D or what kind of thought passing by you is worth adding on to, right? Or if it's just worth to, just watch that thing go by. I don't have to add nothing to that, because I might know where that thing that's presenting itself leads to if I was to keep feeding on to that thing. So if letting things hold weight that don't necessarily add fuel to your fire, then it'll cause a sort of sticky kind of energy you would be acting out of. Like you would want to move faster to the next thought, but the current one got to hook/slow burn energy on you. Now Pluto and that was talking about the Mercury being in the 28th degree of Leo, having that lava cusp energy with Virgo. Pluto on the cusp of Aquarius is us taking accountability and precaution to how we present ourselves to what we associate with on an internal and external level. So this quincunx is not necessarily working in opposite agendas of each other, and can actually lead to a greater shadow work or pinpoint what you would get caught up in when it comes to the facts that your character stands on / the facts that get thrown at your character. Yeah, cause my bad, I was thinking about what I wanted to say next, but with that Pluto on that Aquarius Capricorn cusp, it's like at 0 degrees. Excuse me. It really emphasizes the point I was making earlier in the video about like you having a trait that other people see as grounds to be built upon, or could be grounds to be built upon, because it's like Capricorn is you coming into your own volition and really foundating yourself on making your will into a rock, so to say, making that first heartbeat of life. In Cancer, the first boom boom boom, this is what really puts my blood pumping. This is what really like gets me up and wants to go do something. The feeling that gives me that kind of like, oh yeah, type of shit, or like a hell yeah type of shit. Cause like it really hits your heart and your expansive natures at the same time. So by default, you're gonna want to move. By default, you're gonna want to care. By default, you're gonna want to connect, right? Opposite that, Capricorn, whenever that thing that you're doing becomes such of a substantial reality that it has bones now, that it has like a certain structure and plan to be acted upon, to where you could be acting on that plan, but then also delegate the tasks needed to carry that shit out, whatever the vision was, whatever the thing you wanted to connect to, whatever rules and regulations of said relationship, whatever structure of business you wanted to implement into the world, actually has like thought out criteria and bullet points that can be told to somebody to do, and they could carry that will out. So now you made like a rock, so to say, where you could just give anybody the manuscript, and then they can create that based upon your vision, based upon whatever you willed into existence by means of you caring about something enough to actually make it a reality. And once that rock is like hardened, so to say, in Capricorn, then it moves into Aquarius and is able to do that sort of delegation and actually have the right words to say to connect to people's ideal ideals of like future, where like this is where like Aquarius gets like the futuristic aspect placed upon it, because like for the heart to grow, it needs experience and new frameworks of mind. I'm looking at the Cancer Yod, Cancer being at the apex, and then Aquarius and Sagittarius being the funnelers into that sign, the sextile signs into the Cancer Yod. Yeah, so since that type of growth energy is like a part of the Cancer, Sagittarius, and Aquarian archetype, like as like the delegation process is being undergone, as like the means of telling somebody what to do, or the means of pitching an idea, a manuscript to somebody, then it's like naturally those qualities of like heart and you could say third eye type shit, like envisioning something, is pulled upon in order for that person to be pulled into your pool that you created. So now your pool is pulling on hella shit, amplifying. Now you got a whole little Aquarian squadron, so to say, a tribe. And that's really like the blueprint with Pluto being there, of like creating your tribe and shit, which is just like people that wants to be doing the same things as you want to be doing. Yeah, and it's the best way to find that out if you live it from the heart. Venus in Virgo will get mad at the cleanliness of something all the while its own ass smells. Saturn retrograde is helping with this as an inhibitor of running away from whatever emotions you are connected to that would cause an outward blame in any situation. This opposition is recalibrating what we deem as standards of living that reflect what we see as our ideal tetrastack of regulating our internal world. Because with Saturn retrograde in Pisces, it's like the stimuli that we would encounter. You know what I noticed? The past couple of days in my readings, I've been saying we a lot. Whereas I know for a fact, when I started doing my readings, up until a couple of days ago, I just been saying you will be experiencing, I'm still pondering on why that is. But I guess I really think it's I'm letting my own experiences of the transit be imbued into my transit reports more than I had been previously, just for the reason that it feels like I'm able to give more of a hard-hitting reading, so to say. But at the same time, I want to know if it kind of feels like I'm in my own world type of shit, as opposed to making an emphasis on hitting both positive and negative, or beneficial or maladaptive ways of using the transits, which I still try to hit in my reports, but it's less of a conscious effort of like, oh, I have to write out the good qualities and then the maladaptive qualities of this aspect of this position, which I don't know. We'll see how long this lasts or how it'll change in the future. That's just a side note. Y'all probably shouldn't even heard that. You just entered my workshop. But yeah. So like with Saturn in Pisces, like retrograde in Pisces, opposite Venus in Virgo, it's like the ability to get neurotic about a way of relating would only show that there's a type of flux of feelings or information that you have in an internal sense that isn't regulated, so to say. And by saying that, I mean like since your internal world is just awry, going awry, AWRY, that word, whatever external stimuli you face, you would place that type of lack of anchorage onto the stimuli being placed. So now your mind's running all over the place, thinking about what could happen in a connection, what could possibly go wrong in doing something that that you want to do, right? You're looking at other people to see how they do what you're trying to do, but what they do might not work for you. And if you do have a sort of anchorage system to know what you want in your space and what you don't, then it's like your Venus in Virgo would be able to create different plans to get into something or to get out of it. Meaning like it'll be less of a mental storm when faced with something that you don't necessarily want to be a part of, and more of a step-by-step plan on how to get to the place you want to get to, or settle that type of thing you don't necessarily want to be a part of in order to get to that place you want to be a part of. So it's like your energies of like Venus and Virgo would be more sort of geared to sticking to facts about things based upon the bias of you getting to where you want to go. Where, because Virgo is a biased ass sign, bruh. Like, if not checked, it could be a biased ass sign. But it's like, what is your bias? Is it for the betterment of you and everybody around you, or is it for like you getting a hit off of something, you being an octopus with a Pez dispenser, you knowing that this thing is the thing that gives you a sense of pleasure, so you're gonna keep hitting that shit. You're gonna be the rat drinking the cocaine water over and over again just because you want to. So that the types of structures you create in your life would be leading you back to that thing, so to say. Yeah, as opposed to you having your own volition of like betterment, or like whatever like betterment looks like to you, meaning like that could just be like you just chilling, that could be like you putting in work on a project you want to do, that could be you like going out and just walking around or something, you know, whatever is the thing that would put you at peace, so to say. Because that's all really Virgo wants to do, is to reach that Pisces space. It does things so that it can be able to reach that Pisces space, but it can go get so wrapped up in the doing aspect of it, of like trying to reach the Pisces space, that it never gets to it because it won't stop it won't stop doing what it thinks it needs to be doing, and it won't stop and just go, I've done enough. I've done enough. Like, it won't do that. It'll just be like, I have to do more, I have to do more, I have to do more, I have to do more. And like, just keep going on and shit. So like, Venus and Virgo in a healthy sense will know when to stop. Will know whenever it's like, hey, you know, because just as much, okay, I'll finish that first time. It'll be like, hey, you know, me keeping on working on this kind of thing, or me not dropping this thing and just keep having it run over in my mind over and over again, seeing different ways it could happen, is taking a toll on my nervous system. It's taking a toll on how I move in the world because it's affecting my nervous system. So now, the next thing I was going to do, based off of that thought loop I was in, or regardless of that thought loop I was in, the thing I was gonna do is going to be influenced by that thought loop I was just in, about like over analyzing something that would be like the overanalyzation due to like the lack of internal anchorage that Saturn and Pisces is teaching us. And damn, there was a fucking point. The Venus Virgo being healthy is gonna know when to drop something and just take a breather and just be like, alright, I'm alright where I'm at. I know I'm working to where I need to be, so let me just chill out for a second, because I know that in me ruminating over shit, it might be building energy that would cause me to make moves that are against whatever is that I want to bring into the world. Me having those nerves would be like me tampering with that Pisces space that I'm trying to build for myself. Which I'm not saying having nerves is bad. Like, bro, I'm talking like this, like I don't go through this shit at a frequent basis, bro. I got a Virgo moon, Virgo rising. Like, this shit, like it's gonna happen if you got Virgo energy. And like, even if you don't like got chakras in Virgo, where you got Virgo at in your house system, you know? By chakras I mean planets. So yeah, it's like teaching us, this opposition is teaching us, the Venus Saturn opposition is teaching us like the play of credence we give to certain facts, or something that's seen as facts, ways that is natural living in the world. When I mean natural, I don't mean natural. I meant like the way the world is constructed that we're supposed to be living by, right? It's like learning how to use that in tandem with creating a type of internal system that allows us to connect to what we truly want to connect to. And I just spit. But instead of like, yeah, connect to what we want to connect to, instead of just being like in like some Pisces land of drifting off, connecting to just anything that comes by, leading to a neuroticism of Virgo being like, oh no, we need an anchor, we need I gotta grab onto something, I gotta be a vine and twist around a fucking fence post or some shit, I gotta hold on to something, but yeah. South Node conjunct Juno in Libra. Clinging to an old ideal of relationship is possible, as Juno is conjunct the South Node in Libra. This can play out as you thinking a person could change as you sit and watch your life run away, due to a lack of the North Node in Aries energy of fueling your own wills and creating relations that way. You know, because I like to think of Juno as a holding out energy, meaning like in the myth of Hera and Jupiter, or Hera and Zeus, whatever the names is, right? Jupiter's wife. She didn't care that Jupiter was out having relations with a bunch of other women, and for the reason that the relationship they had was a sense of prestige that she could utilize in order to get whatever her needs were met. So this is like holding out on like something that is deemed as like the right thing to do, i.e. having a loving relationship, monogamous relationship, and holding out on whatever is the right thing to do, which in this case is the monogamous relationship, for a sense of but this thing is of greater importance to me, so to say. And I come to that conclusion, which, anytime I offer like my own, and I'm sure this is true with all astrologers, anytime we offer our own dissertation on something, I mean, to me, it's always subject to change. So like in me saying that, like, that shit might not be holding out for something. That idea of Juno, that might change in the future. But I gotta do shadow work on why I thought there was needed to be an emphasis on that point of justifying myself in saying that. That's my Juno conjunct Mercury in the 10th house. Cause like, I'll hold out for like the best idea. I'll hold out for like something better to come along in terms of communication, in terms of like stimulation. Like when I say stimuli, I use the word stimuli a lot for Virgo and Gemini as a means of it's the stuff that just comes across us like that, so to say. So it's just like the passing by of like every day to day, 3rd house, 6th house shit. Yeah, so like my conclusion of what Juno is probably biased towards my Mercury conjunct Juno in Gemini. But really Juno is closer to my Saturn at like 13 degrees. Yeah, my Juno's at 13 degrees. And my Saturn's at 8, my Mercury's at like 21. And I got my Jupiter in there too at 26. But yeah, my bad, I started making it about me. But yeah, this is like that South Node and Juno conjunction. Like, whatever we thought we were gonna get from like a outdated perspective of what we should be relating to or how we should be relating might be at play just due to the fact of Juno being there and wanting to have an ideal that it's shooting for and not wanting to sway that ideal at all. But on the positive end, on the beneficial end, on the growth minded and if you know how you want to connect to people, if you know what traits and qualities you would like to have as criteria within the relationship, then you can use that Juno aspect of holding out in a more self-righteous tip, in a more self-righteous way. Now, Pallas opposite Uranus square to Mercury, Vesta, and the Sun. The way we are integrating the instantaneous stories we tell ourselves about our position in the world that garners its own sense of self through the reasoning in relation to the tasks that build our position is highly swayed by what type of character we see ourselves as and are acting out of. While Venus Virgo is opposite Pisces Saturn, It's showing us how certain allowances of emotion will breed the type of I started reading a different paragraph. I thought it was the same, like, continued shit, but it's not. But I'm gonna go back to the other one, and I'll come back to the other one. All right. The way we are integrating the instantaneous stories we tell ourselves about our position in the world. All right. I see Palace as the type of emotion that you would place onto something that comes to you, that kind of formulates the different components of said thing that's coming to you, to weave together a quick plan of action based upon an emotion you carry. Palace, the feminine energy, it's an emotion. Excuse me. Because yeah, Palace is like in the mist and shit. It's like a weaving energy, and it's also defeated Mars in battle, or defeated Aries in battle. So it's like acclaimed with like wisdom and like war and shit like that. But really, it's just like learning how to see the components in an arena and how to use it for its advantage. Now, what's the advantage? Shit, whatever emotional bias you got within you, type of thing. So yeah, opposite Uranus, the storyline that you're making has to be integrated into like the sense of self that is gaining like a confidence. That's not really what I wanted to say. The sense of self that is the stories that you tell your sense of self is being integrated with your sense of self. Fuck, I fucked that up. The stories that you're telling yourself and like weaving together based off of like something you just came into contact with something, and like you have your initial bias that you place on it, and how the different components in there is feeding into that bias. Palace has to, or is trying to get matched, whether in a integrative way or a clashing way, with the way you gain a sense of like stability in the world. And I don't just mean like stability in terms of like you having a job and shit, which yes, I am saying that, but it's also like, this is the reason I said the confidence aspect, because it's like, it's just your ability to be here, your ability to say, like, to take up space really, and just be like, have your own container to create whatever will you want to. So just being like, basically what I'm trying to paint the picture of is like, let's say you laying in a field or some shit. You're not feeling small in that field. You're more so just like, you know, like you're just present type of shit, on some Taurus shit. And in that presence, you allow a degree of space within you to have that like Aries nature be able to birth something and point to the next direction which you want to go in. So it's like being able to still have value in yourself, even when you just like chilling and not necessarily accomplishing anything at the moment, right? So like, however you get to that space is being integrated with like the types of storylines that you would say whenever you meet something and place an emotional bias on it, which those two aspects of yourself could be at odds with each other. It's opposing, right? In the transit chart. So it's like a reformulation of how we connect to our roots, so to say. What is the what is the reason for being here? What is the reason what is the reason that we are where we are, type of thing. That's what it's asking us to bring together. Like, I feel like I'm just keeping repeating the same thing, but this has been opposing for like a while. So like this been going on like probably months, but yeah, I'm gonna drop that part. If you got it, if you got what I was trying to say, you got what I was trying to say. All right. While Venus Virgo is opposite Pisces Saturn, it's showing us how certain allowances of emotion will breed the type of weight we place on the stimuli presented to us, leading us to pinpoint any biased logic catering towards the soup of emotions we carry. And I think I'm gonna leave this video here. Yeah. Yeah, this was for like the transits of today. Obviously. But yeah. Mind mapping, seeing what holds weight in my earth. World crafting, seeing what I need to put to rest in order for me to embody symmetry to the vision that sets. This has been AJ Evolutio. If you made it this far, thank you for watching. Peace.